Hey you guys, so I am here to do my October book review, end of the month, what I read. So, I read 5 books this month. Not good, not bad. And I'm just going to go in the order that I read them, not necessarily in the order of best to worst. Although I have to say that there really is nothing super amazing. I think they're all going to be 3 stars except for one. Yeah, well, we'll see it when I get to it. Cool, so the first thing I read in October was Feed by Mira Grant. I think I might have mentioned in the previous video that from all the different types of fantasy characters, vampires, mummies, fairies, whatever, the thing I would probably say I'm drawn to the most is zombies. Just because in my head, if any kind of mythical or crazy creature could exist, the only one I'm in any way, shape, or form willing to believe could possibly exist is a zombie, because of some crazy pathogen that goes into the world. So this is just what I would say is normally your run-of-the-mill zombie book, and we are already in the dystopian future. Zombies have already been around, and people actually have already started kind of living a normal life in conjunction to zombies in this book. It's a 3-star. The writing is decent. The thing that I guess I could have bumped it up more is I didn't feel there was enough zombie content for my taste. The main characters are all part of a news reporter team, and they follow this campaign of who's going to be the next president, who's going to be the one to help people live even better lives along zombies and stuff like that. But there was just very little zombie content. I felt like the book for the most part was just reporters do this and this is how we get our special passes, and reporters have to go through all these processes, and I'm like, okay. I mean, the writing is good and it wasn't bad for it, but it's just not really what I wanted. I wanted a zombie novel. Then the next book I read, and this is part of this year's reading theme, which is books with animals on the cover. I like ostriches for a long time were my absolute favorite animal. They're still in my top 5. So this is The Ostrich and Other Lost Things. This is from Beth Hautala. This is a middle grade book. I always have a hard time judging middle grade books because obviously in terms of the writing, is it going to wow me? No, because I'm not a child anymore. The storyline is relatively cute. It deals with autism. The main character's brother has autism, and also, so I think maybe if you have autism in your family and you have children, I think this might be an interesting book for you guys to read together and talk about, because it really kind of helps people understand the process of it and stuff like that. So I don't really ever know how to really grade middle grade books, so I guess I'm just going to give it a 3-star because it was entertaining enough to read, but yeah. Then I read this book, Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I love this cover. As I said in almost every single one of my book reviews, I'm always looking for good gay and lesbian literature. And Cece Reads Books, I think is her handle name. She was talking about, she always, once a year, she does these are the gay and lesbian books of this year that I'm looking forward to. And this was one of them, and I saw the cover, and she was really excited about it. So I was like, oh my god, the cover is gorgeous. And the plot of the book is basically there is also again a pathogen that is making all these girls, they live in what is it called, the kind of school where you actually internat, what is it called in English, like a school you stay at the whole year, you don't live at home, and this pathogen hits that school and all of them start getting sick, and they actually, I don't want to give away too much of the plot, but they start getting sick, some of them die, and then they're not allowed to leave that internat, whatever that's called in English again. They're not allowed to leave it anymore because the CDC is quarantining them, and kind of, they're a survival story, and there's like twists and turns. Love the idea of the plot, but I didn't care for how it was executed. I really didn't enjoy the writing whatsoever. This is going to be a 2-star. Originally I thought I was going to say 3, but no, it's a 2-star for me. I really didn't enjoy the writing. I thought the writing was not, the writing wasn't very good at all. And I didn't like how the plot evolved. They were saying, like, you know, when Cece mentioned it, they were like, oh, there's a lot of lesbians or queer, or she uses queer. I generally don't use the word queer, but, you know. And so the first one half of the book, there's really nothing to do with, you know, gay or lesbians or anything like that. And then it literally, I think I even put this tab here, right here. All of a sudden, we're halfway through the book, and it's like, boom, they just like throw all this like lesbian drama at us. And this girl likes this girl, and these two girls are in love, and this is, and I'm like, where is this coming from all of a sudden? Like, this had nothing to do with a love story, nothing. All of a sudden, there's like this hardcore, oh my god, there's all this drama between the girls and all this kind of stuff. And I just really didn't care for it. I also didn't really like any of the characters. I didn't think they were fleshed out very well. I think the way they acted was really selfish and stupid, and you know, they're all in their late teens. I think they would have had a little bit more maturity in the way that they go about things. And I don't know. Don't recommend. Beautiful cover, but I didn't really care for it. Then I read Fangirl. And this is a book that has been ranted and raved about all over the place on BookTube. Everybody loves it. Everybody's like, this is the most amazing book ever read. I hate the cover, and the premise of the book did not strike me as interesting at all. I added it to my TBR list months and months and months ago, and I knew that it was one of those things where it's like, I'll have it on my TBR list and probably never actually read it, just because it just didn't seem interesting to me in terms of the plot. And I know they always say don't judge a book by its cover, but let's be real, we all do. And I didn't care for the cover, and like then it was so super hyped, and I was like, I'll probably never really read it. But then I saw a booktuber review this, and she had this version with the colored edges. And I have to tell you guys, I love colored edges. And I also have to tell you guys, I love the color mint. Like this, what is that, diamond company? Tiffany's. Like this Tiffany's color mint is one of my favorite colors ever. So when I saw her hold this up, now I was like, this is going to bump up a little bit higher in my TBR. Not enough to actually buy it, because living in Saudi Arabia, I actually have to order most of my books that I want to read. So I was like, okay, it's a little bit higher on my list now that I know that there's a version with these colored edges, which I think is super beautiful when people do that. And then the last time I was in Dubai, they actually had it. They had this version, and I was just like, it's mint. It's a colored edge. I'm going to get it. And I'm so glad I did, because I actually really enjoyed this book. The writing is amazing. Even though originally it was not a plot that I really thought I was going to get into, I really did enjoy the plot. I liked how the writer kind of created a love triangle, but it wasn't one of those super annoying ones where everybody likes everybody and then all this kind of stuff. So that I really enjoyed. I think the writer also did a good job of creating diversity without it being really like diversity just for diversity's sake. Like, it felt natural, and I really enjoy that when there's like diversity is set in a natural way. I really like that a lot of the characters were not, you know, just these crazy beautiful people. They were all just normal people. That's something I appreciate, because I feel like in a lot of novels it's always like, oh my god, she was gorgeous and he was gorgeous and everyone's gorgeous and everyone's young and everybody, you know, they come from money and blah, blah, blah. You know, I hate that in movies and I hate that in books, so I really appreciate that. So I definitely recommend this. This is a 4-star read for me. And, you know, I think I can understand why for a lot of people it's a 5-star. It could have been a 5-star for me if this was more along the lines of a plot that I care about. Just general YA is not my thing, but it's a good book, and I do recommend it. And then the last book I read is Pygmy by Chuck Palahniuk. No idea how to say his last name. And this author is most famous for his novel Fight Club. That's what I think most people have read by him. I really didn't want to read Fight Club. I never even watched the movie, even though everyone's like, it's the best thing ever. And if you think it is the best thing ever and you think I really need to watch it and I need to read the book, then of course leave it in the comments. But I'm just in general not drawn to it. It just seems like one of those super like straight guy macho like movies, and I don't know, just doesn't strike my interest. I honestly don't even know where to begin with this book. I don't know how I'm supposed to review it. This book is one of the most unique books I have ever read, and I'm actually even going to go out on a limb and say if you read this book, it will be one of the most unique books you have ever read. The plot is completely different from anything I've ever read. The content is completely different. The writing style is completely different. So it's really hard for me to judge this book comparatively to other ones. I really did enjoy the writing, but at the same time, it's not an easy read, and the writing style made it so that I couldn't always 100% be immersed in the novel. Like every once in a while, because the writing style is so unique, it would pull me out, and I'd be like, "Whoa, okay, now I need to try to figure out my way to get back into the novel," and so that made it a little bit difficult to immerse myself into the story as much as I would have liked. Should I give you guys a little bit of not a spoiler, but just kind of basically what is going on is that we're somewhere in the Midwest, and this group of foreign exchange students comes to live in this town in the US with these host families, and this whole group of foreign exchange students, they come from a region of the world which is kind of implied as like what used to be the Soviet Union, and they're all basically undercover spies, and they try to, find ways to integrate into the American system, and that way help bring down the corrupt US government. And there was a lot of really interesting aspects of, a lot of the degenerate and problematic issues of the United States in this book, which I thought was really clever, and at the same time a lot of the problematic issues of what used to be the Soviet Union. It's just a really clever book, but it's so hard to, I don't really know, like there's some really intense scenes, there's some really crazy scenes, it's crafted really well. I don't feel comfortable giving it a 4 or a 5 star because I said it was so hard to immerse myself in it, and I can't find myself comparing it to anything else to where I could be like, this is a 5 star in comparison to this other book that was similar. There's nothing similar to it, so I don't know. So I'm gonna just kind of not grade this one. It is definitely an interesting read. It is definitely a unique read. There's some really interesting quotes in here. Not quotes that but he integrates different aspects of every chapter has a quote from a famous politician or social leader at some point in time, and some of them I've never heard that I really liked. One was, when one person dies, it's a tragedy. When 1 million people die, it's a statistic. And I thought that was a really interesting quote, especially just now in Long Beach, there was another shooting, and I think 13 people died or something like that. And that's literally these mass shootings we have now, or even the wars that are going on, they're just kind of a statistic. It's just this thing that happens on TV. People are like, 40 people killed in Afghanistan during a bombing. Okay, anyway, and then the other news versus, but if one celebrity dies, it's 6 weeks it's on the news. Oh my God, what was that guy from the Fast and the Furious? I forget his name. When he died, it was just weeks and weeks and weeks about the tragedy of this one actor dying, and I thought that was that's a very strong quote, and I actually really enjoyed it. And the other quote was from, let's see if I can find it really quick. It was from Fidel Castro, and I actually really enjoyed this too. And I think I'm actually contemplating of making that a tattoo. Where is it? I don't want to quote it wrong. Damn. But the quote was something like, I I really want to find it. Come on, where is it? Where is it? Damn, can't find it. Ah, here it is. Condemn me, it does not matter. History will absolve me. I really, really love that quote. For me, that it was kind of. And I know you guys hate it when I'm always like saying these things, but I think, especially on YouTube or even in real life, I think a lot of times I come across a little abrasive, and because I just say it as I think it is. I'm not somebody who's all like cushioning and softening my opinion. I just don't believe in that. And I think a lot of times people just see me as this really aggressive, abrasive, heartless person because I'm just like, boom, here it is. Here's the reality. But the actual reality is that I actually find I care more than most people do. And because I care more, I don't sugarcoat and I don't lie to people and I don't pretend that these things don't exist because I actually legitimately do want to help and change. So I just really loved this quote. I was like, yeah, okay, you guys condemn me, but history will absolve me. So I thought that was a really cool quote. Anyway, I do recommend, I don't know if I would say I highly recommend, I don't think this is a book for everyone, but if you're somebody who's really political and socially, somebody who's really interested in things like that, then I think this might be a read that you would enjoy. Hey, and that's my October wrap-up. Hopefully you guys are all doing well, and I'll talk to you guys soon.